brotherhood of fly fishing is an important adjective to use in fly fishing. It's not used enough.
Fly fishing can be quite insular. We needed to have some form of an event where we could all get together and just have a family gathering, really. Very rarely do fly fishermen get together in large numbers.
This is a sport that takes you to beautiful places. It's a sport that will test you. It's a sport that you will never master.
The exciting thing about this is that it's the first of its kind in South Africa, and having people with a common interest all in one place at one time. And I'm certainly hoping that this thing will grow into something bigger and better.
And here we have all sorts of people together, whether they're artists, bamboo rod makers, fly tyers, book writers. There's all the added elements of it. There's the fly tying, and there's the woodwork, craftsmanship, bamboo rod making, there's net making, clothing.
Fly fishing is the single and only thing that relaxes me. My paintings have changed substantially. For instance, where I catch a fish, it means a lot to me to catch and release that fish. And I then take that in my mind and paint it. So it's semi-abstraction. But I put in my little bit of water where I caught my fish.
I started fly fishing when I was a kid, probably about 4 or 5 years old. My dad had a stone carving factory, so I was always fascinated by stone carving and wood carving, and in my spare time I created fish, but at this moment I focus mainly on bronze and stainless steel. This is called a permit. It's family of the pompano. There are no rules with these fish, but I'd say they're probably the toughest fish to catch.
I started fly tying about 15, 16 years ago, and I bought a cheap vise and the hook kept falling out the jaws. And I got so mad, I literally took it and threw it into the rubbish bin, and I went into my workshop and I made myself a J vise. And around about the time I got into version 3, people started saying you should produce this commercially.
The SpongeBob is the name that I gave to a slider that I made specifically for cod. I tied this fly specifically to mimic bucktail jigs that's fished by spin fishermen. And the bucktail jig is fished to sort of, when you pull it, it goes up from the bottom. When the retrieve is paused, it drops to the bottom. Now with the SpongeBob, I designed a fly that would float, and I fish it on a sinking line. So when I strip it, it will dive, and when I stop the retrieve, it will float towards the surface. So that's basically the logic.
My main focus area is stream fishing, river fishing, and the Papa Roach came about years ago when I actually was very much into my stillwater fly fishing, and I wanted to create a substantial piece of meat to tie on a hook, and it's taken off and become it's basically its own pattern.
There's a huge lack of quality information on improving people's casting, so basically bad habits get passed down from generation to generation. And I think the IFFF guys here, that's their job now, is to try to put some good information in the system and have people go away and be able to practice on their own with some decent information.
We run fly fishing camps around Africa, based in Lesotho, Tanzania, Gabon, Sudan and Botswana. We work really hard at the conservation side of things and community beneficiation projects. So that's empowering local communities within rural areas in Africa to find sort of sustainable employment and a sustainable economy around the resources that they otherwise have no value in.
The expo is important because it brings people together. I mean, I've already met a couple of people today and laid some foundations for future projects.
I never thought to see that many people, to be honest with you. What we're doing is mostly saltwater in relation to the great scheme of things, freshwater versus salt. It's a very, very small part of it, and it brings it in perspective. Maybe we should put some more effort, promote it a little bit more. I think it could become popular.
I probably spoke to 100 people who travelled in from other parts of the country to be here today. I mean, there are people who came in from Namibia, people who came from the Eastern Cape, people from Natal.
Fly fishing is a very poetic pastime. I think one of the greatest privileges I've ever had in fly fishing is the many opportunities that have been given to me to bring a young girl or boy into fly fishing and see them become as obsessed and semi-certifiable about the sport as I am.
I like fly fishing because at first you get into it without knowing that it will sink in your veins. It's one of those sports that it gives you that opportunity to express yourself, like that freedom to be who you are.
The people are like one big happy family, and that's what it was like today. Everybody was helping each other, everybody had interesting things to discuss, was making friends with new friends and meeting up with old ones. Fly fishing mostly is a very friendly sport, very helpful sport. People assist each other.
For an expo like this to happen, it needs support. Not just support from the general public, support from the industry.
The response has been tremendous, and it's actually good, I think, for some of the shops that we deal with to see that we sell a lot of this stuff, and it can be sold because they maybe don't stock it all, but it's been selling. The guys saying, hey, where's that stuff? I haven't seen it before, and they grab it.
This expo manifests the fact that there are a lot of people out here who are interested in fly fishing, who do the sport, and who have a love for the sport. And not just the sport of fly fishing, but all the ancillary aspects of the sport. Fly fishing is a massive value chain in South Africa.